Comment, it's incomplete. Last sentence reads, the bond payments would then be made from, so we need that completed. Page 4.
Page 4.
Just before, section 4, the sentence before it. The last sentence, the bond payments would then be made from. The rest of the minutes, from me look fine and sort of the meeting.
Have that taken out?
Well, if you know it.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Captured value from the TIF district.
Captured value.
Captured value from the TIF.
Got it.
Jim, you want to be Tom again?
I have a motion to approve, a second. That motion, since John made it, if you didn't do.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion to include the edit that was just discussed.
Roger, you want a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's approved, second, all in favor?
Yeah.
What is it?
Abstain on that one.
Okay, we have 4 to 1 abstain. First night here, again, welcome to the board. Sorry, have that. Everyone will try to take some time. Tonight's going to be a busy night.
It was I.
Okay, on May 30th, we have just myself and John. We're going to have to defer the May 30th to another meeting as we do not have a quorum to approve. Thank you, Roger. I'd like to open up the meeting to public hearing. First item is Cannon Lot Timber Harvest. This is a conditional use application, proposed timber harvesting. Been before the board before. The board has asked for justification for the above 40% cutting and then the agreements with all of the abutters. So I'd like to turn this over to the applicant or his agent. Make a presentation if you would.
Yeah. This is the public hearing part of the, I was here the last, not the last meeting, but the last time I was here. We just went over, we wanted to cut 60% of the stand because of over maturity. We cut 40%, we probably would lose 20 to 30% and blow down and whatnot.
And the board's concern was that economic on your side is there, but we wanted a forest management. Got to say that this was appropriate for that site.
Yeah, and I believe they, Ted walked a lot with the state forester, and they also agreed that was in the news.
Okay. That's okay. No, we can proceed with the contract.
Right here.
Ted, you did walk with state forester, and they're in agreement that it should be up to that 60%.
Yes, and the designated area is shown on the plan to be 60% of that particular area. There's a lot of junk trees and a lot of trees that are just basically not. It's very thick vegetation. A lot of it needs to be cleared out. There's some good timber in there, but there's also basically pulpwood. And it's, it has to be cleared to that level of 60% in order to create a sustainable forest in the future.
And the agreement.
I should just mention, Mr. Chairman, down by the river they have some beech and some oak that they're going to be taking out that is commercially viable, but a lot of the stuff is not. It's balsam.
Now there's a 300-foot limit.
Well, we also have the floodplain of the Kennebec River is down through there, and that anywhere where we have the floodplain is in fact a resource protection district in our shoreline zoning regulations. So, and also it's actually also mandated by the state.
Within resource protection, they can exceed it. Within the shoreland overlay zone, 100 feet, they can't. Right?
No, they can't exceed it within the shoreline. They can exceed it if the state allows them to. Remember, we have advocated our abilities to regulate within the Resource Protection District. Like most communities, we've actually transferred that right over to the Department of Conservation
Yeah.
and DEP.
We weren't trying to get permitted to cut it within the shoreline zone, because I think that would be one more layer that, you know, we need to deal with. Plus, the floodplain came back so far that it really kind of pushes us out of that zone anyway, and we have to do a whole other level of permitting just to cut just a few trees, so we weren't going to bother with that section.
There you are.
Oh, sorry.
That should be up here.
The agreements with all of the property owners.
I got those with me here. The last one today, but you have photocopies if you want. I don't have any photocopies, but just we got the originals already.
I need
Could-
photocopies.
Yeah, we'll need copies, but I'd also like the names read, make sure that we have all of the property owners.
Yeah. It's Dana Peck, Norman Sharon, Jim Jones, and Ron Kutcher. There is one section that's owned by Herb Freeman, but actually he only owns half the road. I've called him, he's down in Massachusetts, and I haven't been able to get hold of him lately, but he didn't have any problem with us doing it, but we really don't even have to, we drove on Dana's half of the road, we really not relying on his property, so it's not like he owns the whole road.
Right,
section.
so
And,
happy.
yeah, so,
In the original presentation, Dana, it was you that had brought this up as an issue before. Thank you for that. Is that all of the owners along this
Yeah.
roadway where they're gonna be out? And can you read the agreement that you got with each of them? One of them, are they all?
I wrote a letter. I said, Deergo Timberland is requesting temporary use of your section of the Curtis Road for the purposes of moving harvested timber from the woodland, William Cannon Woodlot, also located on the Curtis Road. The duration of the job, from the initial movement of equipment to moving of the last loads of wood would be approximately 3 months. It is our intention to operate this job in either dry, summer, or frozen conditions, only to minimize impact on the woodlot and on the road. Upon completion of the job, we will leave the road in as good or better condition than we found it in. Any rutting, crushed culverts, etc. on the Curtis Road associated with the job will be repaired at the expense. By signing this letter, you in no way agree to give up any long-term rights of way to either William Cannon or Deergo Timberland. This is a temporary agreement only. If you agree to these terms, this letter, please sign and return in the enclosed envelope.
Did you send them copies of your notes?
Who, the property owners?
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing public hearing?
Just the public hearing, but those we wouldn't be able to proceed unless we had, there was no reason to continue. Okay. Anything else you'd like to present?
The only question I had is the last thing Ted sent me was I wasn't aware of this, that you have a 10,000 square foot landing regulation.
Yeah.
That's the opening in the canopy.
Yeah, that's the way we're at. It was going to be a mechanical job. I mean, all those trees are 100 feet tall, and that's 100 by 100 opening. You can barely move into that with mechanical equipment. So
Well, that's 10 trees plus all the space between the trees.
I don't know why we have that standard, but we have this standard of 10,000 square foot opening.
I thought that we could live with say a 30-foot wide by 300-foot long section that we would stump out to back the trucks out for its road, and then not do any stumping outside of that. That would be about 9,000 square feet. We could just pile trees on either side of that off the road. It's all going to be on William Cannon's lot. We were going to do that because I didn't want to have to land wood on the Curtis Road. It is open enough to do that, but I don't really want to do that. We'll be blocking the road.
Okay. And we can discuss that further when we get into the project. Okay. Anything else?
The last thing Ted said too was something about, there was a wetland area that could only be cut on frozen ground. I wasn't aware of that. Usually a forested wetland can be operated, but I didn't know if the town is something above and beyond. Forested wetlands can be operated usually if it's just dry and, but it said something about only cutting it on frozen ground.
That was in our regs?
Yeah,
It was in your minutes, or in your notes to the board. The GIS printout showed several.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was back, that was the November notes, right?
Yeah.
In the what?
That was the November dated notes, right?
No, June 7th.
Most recent one, first paragraph, second page.
There was, in addition, there were several NWI wetlands shown on the effective GIS printout. On the ground, they're basically forested wetlands. I mean, they're a little low. And in the dry summer, you can operate them as easily as you could in the wintertime.
Yeah, I think that actually this pertains to anything over 2 acres in size. I think some of those wetlands are real wetlands.
Down, you mean down by the river, or there was one that's delineated?
There's one right up by the road.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a real wetland, they will stay out of it. There was this kind of shrubby place there.
Yeah.
Is that got a 250-foot buffer or
No,
anything like that?
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
No, that's, the 250-foot buffer only deals with the shoreline zoning. These are not shoreline zones, these are just the regs we have in our,
Oh,
in
okay,
our
all right,
forestry. So it's just pocket stuff,
okay.
okay?
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's something that if you can harvest without putting the skidder all the way in,
Yeah,
and ripping it up, I mean, that's the concern, is ripping up the wetlands.
okay.
But if you can harvest, it doesn't mean you can't harvest, it means you can't run through.
Oh, that's, okay, fair enough, yeah.
Okay, that's what it really deals with.
Okay.
Does that work? I mean, you guys have the reach to be able to do that?
What's
Because
that?
you have the reach to do that with some of your.
Oh, yeah,
harvesters.
No, that's, yeah, and some of that was shrubby aldery stuff. It wasn't in it,
Yeah, you wouldn't be in there, that's why I just mentioned it.
Okay, yeah.
Especially that one that's close by the road.
Yep, yep.
I don't see why you'd be in there in the first
No,
place.
I was thinking of having the landing, further towards the CMP line,
Yeah.
where that's about as high and dry as it gets. That's where we're at the staging, so.
So,
Anything else in your presentation to the board?
No.
Is there any comments by any of the public regarding this? Any comments by the board? Okay, any comments by the planner?
no, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I think the only, if you recall, I mean, most of the stuff you had taken care of back in November, we were actually looking through action, and that's when the whole issue of access came up. The concern about, thank you, Dana, for bringing that up, the whole issue of, there was no way to get the product out, because they didn't have any kind of rights to use the road without securing those rights. I think that's what brought this whole project to a screeching halt at that particular time. And the only real requirement I have for them is to indicate the staging area and to get those permissions. The applicant's gotten the permissions. I haven't seen them yet, and he's been working on them all the way up to the last second. And I would assume that they're all there.
We'll have to have those on file.
Yeah, you can get me copies, right?
There being no other comments, I'd like to close the public hearing on Cannon Lot Timber Harvest at 7:21. I'm going to move on to item 2, North Chapel Common Museum's conditional use application. Proposals to develop a museum and community gathering space. Three located historic structures, 2,946 square feet approximately, and there's construction of a 36-foot by 90-foot replica meeting house, associated parking, and this is on a 3-acre parcel tax map. Lot 7 located on North Road. The Arundel Historic Society is the owner and applicant, and William Conway is the agent. Bill, are you going to make a comment to the public hearing?
If you'd like me to. I'll keep it concise. So the project is located on Limerick Road. Route 111 is just a little bit below. Situated in a big open field area. A portion of the property is wooded to the rear of the project. There's no change within that wooded section. As you mentioned, the project includes sort of an enclave of 3 buildings. 2 of them are referred to as the Lund House and the Burnham House, which are existing farmhouses. They're currently on the property, having been moved from their original nearby locations. The 3rd building will be a meeting house, which will be constructed sort of replicating the architecture of the meeting house that was originally in this area and burned. There is a 4th structure. It's an accessory structure, which is the Burnham House barn. That is sort of the materials from that were salvaged and will be rebuilt to its original form. Access from Limerick Road comes in this location here to a gravel surface drive, this sort of brownish color. There is a paved section for handicap parking in this area here, and the bright green colors are overflow turf parking areas that would be used infrequently in non-winter conditions for special events when this building is constructed. The initial phase will be these 2 farmhouses, and then over time, as funding is raised, this 3rd meeting house building will be constructed.
Very familiar with the site, I just walked in a few minutes ago. Thank you very much. Does anybody from the public have any comment they'd like to make? Anybody from the board at this point? We can deal with the particulars when we get there. Okay. Ed, any other comments you'd like to make?
Not this time, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Being 7:25, I'd like to close the public hearing on the North Chapel Common Museum. And we'll move into current applications. We'll go back to the Ken Lot Timber Harvest. I don't believe we have a need for another presentation. I think we've covered almost all of the items, but I would like to open it up for comments by the public. Anybody here want to make any comments on this? How about members of the board? We do have one outstanding issue, which was that canopy cut. That's going to have to, I guess, be delineated on the plan if we're going to require that, Ted. That was one I wasn't familiar with. So, I mean, I think everybody knows about it.
I can draw out how our land is typically look. We need to leave a few trees scattered beside where the trucks would be. You could probably work around it. I mean, I don't know how, if a few trees count for leaving.
Breaks up the canopy.
I don't know.
It provides canopy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Breaks up the.
That's
That's the only way to do it. It has to be 10,000 square feet of contiguous area. You can't have anything that's more than 10,000 square feet contiguous over it. So break up the contiguous.
Just break it up, okay.
I know it's a pain with the staging, but.
Well, I mean, not really. If you get one tree, you can pile up stuff against the tree on one side and pile up on the other side. And, we could work with it.
You don't want to take it down after the mechanical engineering and take it
Well,
down after.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to approach it. What about where we would put the running place where we would have to stump that part? I mean, do we need a permit to stump out
No.
a yard spot?
No.
Okay.
No.
We wouldn't need to stump when we were laying the trees. We just need to stump over back and.
Right, we would put it on the vehicles, right.
That's all you do is
an ordinance we haven't taken a hard look at in a while, but
Okay.
I think the intent was to prevent from clay pipe, basically, but
Yeah.
10,000 square feet is in clay pipe, so.
Quarter acre is small.
Quarter acre.
It's civil.
Right.
Well, I mean, the discussion sounds more than adequate. I mean, the versus board feels the same way.
Yeah.
As long as it's not contiguous, we're comfortable with that.
Biggest word is not contiguous.
Yeah. I just
One of
know-
those balsams makes it non-contiguous, you say one balsam, it's the only.
Fair enough, but
Yeah.
Okay, so. we've got
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask the applicant a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Your operation is 3 months, so if we put a scheduled completion by September, is that adequate for you?
yeah, I mean,
Well-
what I was shooting for was to get in there for like the July, August. I mean, 3 months is probably longer than we need, but I wanted to have enough room there to get everything in there, get everything done, get everything out. And I wanted to do it to drive, hopefully going in the part of summer.
Yes, there's gonna be one.
If there's gonna be one. I didn't wanna wait another month and have time into the fall, and then we're going to the, usually the wetter season, so.
And then you have to wait until it's frozen
Yeah,
up,
and we're kind of
then that causes problems with the road.
chasing the tail again, so.
And you have to restore all of that back to its condition.
Yeah, it wasn't much harder to do.
Are you looking the end of September, just in the middle of June?
I just wanted to put a drop dead date.
Yeah, no, I know.
Which one we prefer, we can make it October.
First of October.
So it depends on when we can get the permit started. I mean,
Well, if you get an approval tonight, you can go.
okay, all right, yeah, okay,
Okay.
Because you've taken care of all the other logistical stuff.
yeah.
The only thing that I also put in the findings of fact in question was documentation of conditions of the road now and documentation at completion.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think the board would mandate is that you have an engineering or a photo documentation of existing conditions now and a photo documentation at the end.
Yeah,
And that would also include Downing Road, because the town would be interested to see if you guys do any damage to Downing Road, you're gonna need to repair that as well. So if you have photo documentation you provide to me or the code enforcement officer before you bring in your equipment, then that's protection for you.
okay,
And so I'm gonna probably require that, both as protection for you, protection for the property owners, protection for
okay, yeah, I'll take some pictures and I'll email them to you as soon as
Okay. Query of the board, we have 30 days actually to render a decision. You guys all comfortable with moving forward at this point?
Yeah.
At the last one, we had asked for those two things, a couple of little administrative logistical things came up.
Did you confirm that all the property owners?
I haven't, because I haven't seen those yet.
yeah, if you want this.
I don't have any tax maps.
We did come-
Need to, I mean,
One
Actually, it should have in my
of the
application.
butters that brought up the issue originally is in the audience, just for yours, he confirmed that the list that he read does get everybody, we'll have to get the one from the gentleman of standing, or you'll have to drive on half of the road.
Well, and that or else what we can make it subject to is securing that final one or securing the wall. That gives me the opportunity to take a look at this, make sure I got everybody in the room.
Okay.
Got everybody. If I don't have everybody, I assume you did.
May I ask the applicant a question?
Chair.
Through the chair. Right now, that there's a gate at the end, so that gate is coming down, I would take it.
Yeah,
That half gate that's there.
just talking with Norman, he said you could just swing it to one side of the road and do.
And there's a cable across the road that's up during the night hours to keep the traffic down.
Yeah,
And is that, when you guys have done, that cable will go up?
yep, if we can leave it down during the day and put it up at night in the crew.
Hours of your operation?
Hours of the day,
Yeah. When you can operate? 7 o'clock?
about, it's earlier than that.
Um,
All right, what's the, anything like that?
Build it there.
What's the
Well,
action?
wanting to,
I know,
But
they go in, just as soon go in the daylight, go in
Yeah.
flat.
And Dana, you're fine with that, it's primarily coming across the.
So it
And they're
starts-
not gonna be out, you're not gonna be out there with lanterns.
Sunrise, sunset.
End time though, at night, concerned?
No.
When would you break from?
what's that,
When you plan to break? Leave for the day?
the crew?
Yeah.
Well, they'll probably be there at daylight, and then they'll be gone by, depends on which part of the crew. Some of the guys go until dark. Some of the crews at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's parts of the crew are there a lot, throughout the only thing that makes any noise is the harvester, really. I mean,
Interrupt that power.
And bring the logging truck out.
yeah, I mean, that's, yeah,
But you only gonna use a harvester?
harvester, travel steers, whatever. But the harvester's probably the noisiest one of the bunch.
You just check one more thing.
Looking for the noise?
Well, the noise is usually 7 to 7.
Yeah.
7 to 10.
Around
And then I'm just looking at that.
but with.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
can I ask the applicant a question?
Absolutely.
What is usually your load limits by loading?
The trucks,
Yeah.
they can't be over 100,000. I don't know,
The only reason I'm asking that is because your route or anything else, like down the Downing Road,
yeah.
I don't know the load limits
I
per
did
se on that.
notice a couple of load limit signs around that sort of scared me when I some of the back roads that I don't even hurdle, but I don't know if the down road has got it's got a little limit on it or not. I didn't notice that. I noticed one, I think on Mountain Road.
Yeah. There's a load limit on the bridge from Kennebunk, and there's a load limit on the,
Our load limits on the plan.
no, these are structural loads.
Structure loads. That's why I was asking the applicant, load limit. Huh?
You may have mentioned this, what's your access route from the site?
Well, that would, I guess, depend on which roads have road limits on. There's
What-
a couple of ways we could go. We could go, I think, up the Downing Road and over, and then up the Mountain Road to the interstate. Or we could go,
So your goal is to get to the highway?
pretty much, yeah, whatever the most direct route is, that it's the best road, I guess.
Soon.
They just rebuilt the road.
No? Kennebunk residents are not
It's
happy.
too bad, because the
That's right.
interstate's right, I mean, jobs right over here, the interstate's right here.
Yeah, access from, fire department.
Yeah, what are we looking for?
I'm just looking for an alternative to our noise ordinance, that's the only thing. That would allow for operations.
Well, if there's no one there to hear the noise, is there a noise?
You know,
Is there anybody gonna be
John,
out there measuring?
I'm not sure I've got, that's in section 14 philosophy.
That's page 2, section 6, subline B.
I'm just looking for the exceptions to it, and
I just made it up.
I know.
It's not like they're having any swinging parties out there. Unless they're doing the lumberjack swing.
It limits the noise at the lot line, but
Well, no, I'm looking at no person shall engage in construction activities on any site abutting a residential use between the hours of 10 a.m. and 7 a.m., in which those limits, which exceed those limits established for the residential districts.
This is not construction.
This is timber
We ran into this construction.
It's destruction.
Okay.
Well, then it says, sounds emanating from construction or maintenance activities conducted between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., 10 p.m.
7 to 10,
Yeah,
no
7.
later than 10.
Of course, that's also abutting a residential property, I believe the only residential property there is, you're the only residential property out in that's abutting
On that
property.
side, on the other side of our, they,
Right.
you probably closer to that land, the staging area,
I can keep the harvester between 7, I mean, that's not, we're just not to start until 7.
Okay.
And that's the loudest piece of equipment, the
Right.
skid's really not very loud, and the hunter's not loud.
That takes care of it.
Yeah, could that, the proposed condition be modified, no cutting or harvesting of?
Yes.
I mean, harvesting could be interpreted broadly, but cutting is more defined to actually using your harvester.
Yeah. That's not hard to do.
Yeah, certainly maintenance and I think we're on the skidder or something. You got a backup arm on that, though, right?
What's that?
You have a backup arm on the skidder, though. Roll back up.
It didn't work.
Don't tell me that.
No, it's not DOT required.
It's not
Mr. Chairman, when they did clear the power lines recently, the last, we couldn't hear anything, and I know it didn't bother me either, they had all that type of equipment. And update just recently, they staged on my property, they had the skidder and everything.
Do they operate before 7 a.m.? Do they operate before 7 a.m.?
Yes.
Wow. Dan, you remember what the planning board said about that? Well, yeah, you can modify that, Mr. Chairman, say that the harvester shall not operate between 7 and 10.
I'm going to ask you to read the condition, if I get a motion from somebody, I will have some discussion and
Question,
read it.
have them turn around and operate the same thing as CMP did.
I don't think I want to do that. Because they had corduroy roads there.
Huh?
They had to put in corduroy roads.
No, I say operation.
I think that might be a little more complex.
If they're within our, if they've agreed to
Okay.
operate within our ordinance, we should be fine, Mike. Right?
Yes.
I will read it, and then you and Joan can make whatever modifications that you want. Remember that you have to do your, this is a condition.
Individual.
You have to do the individual,
Each one individual.
as our attorneys tell us to do.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a matter of opinion, like most services.
Appreciate
That's what we do. Whereas on November 29th, 2012, the Arundel Planning Board received a conditional use application from Dirigo Timberlands to engage in timber harvesting operations will result in the removal of up to 60% of the base of line of the existing tree stand on 44-acre parcel located on Curtis Road, tax map 25, lot 6 in the R4 and RP districts. Whereas on June 13th, 2010, the Arundel Planning Board conducted a public hearing on the proposed project. Whereas the Arundel Planning Board has arrived at the following findings of fact. The owner of the property is William Cannon, and authorized applicant is Dirigo Timberlands. 2, the property is located at Curtis Road, tax map 25, lot 6 in the R4 and RP districts. Number 3, the proposed 34-acre parcel is covered by dense mixed forest vegetation consisting of mixed hardwoods and softwood stands located along the Kennebunk River. 4, the applicant proposes to engage in timber harvesting operations to thin the existing dense stands of softwoods, especially those of limited commercial value, and harvest some of the existing hardwoods due to the density of the stands and need for thinning and poor quality and damage to disease specimens. The applicant proposes to harvest up to 60% of the basal area of the forest stand. 5, due to the state requirements for harvesting within a resource protection district that is the 100-year floodplain on the Kennebunk River, the applicant proposes to limit all harvesting operations to areas outside the 100-year floodplain and or 100 feet from the upland edge of wetlands associated with the Kennebuck River. 6, in keeping with the requirements of the LUO, the applicant proposes to establish a staging area near the Curtis Road in an area cleared area that will not create an opening in the tree canopy more than 10,000 square feet contiguous area. 7, since discovering the Curtis Road does not enjoy an established public easement between the Cannon property and the Downing Road, the applicant has secured written permission from all abutting property owners to Curtis Road to use said road to remove all harvested timber and logging equipment. 8, the State of Maine District Forester has made a site visit to the property and concurred the harvesting operation in excess of 40% but less than 60% basal area is justified on the property. 9, designated harvest area does not contain any habitats for endangered species, especially deer, wintering yards, or waiting bird habitat or shoreline zones designated by the town of Arundel and the Maine Department of Environmental Protection. And that should be 10. Record plan submitted as part of this conditional use application, including plan prepared by Deerfield Timberland dated November 2012. Conformance with conditional use criteria. After due review and consideration, the Arundel Planning Board has determined the application to be in conformance with criteria of section 97H of the Arundel Land Use Ordinance as follows. 97H, 1, that the use is compatible with and similar to the general categories of uses of neighboring properties. Timberland harvesting is a recognized natural resource activity in this part of the community and performed by other property owners in recent years.
Move to accept.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous.
Section 97H2, the use is consistent with comprehensive plan and anticipated future development of the neighborhood. In that comprehensive plan, encourages managed timber harvesting activities as an integral part of sustainable forestry practices.
Make a motion, we accept.
Yeah. Second.
Motion, have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous.
97H3, that there is adequate and safe pedestrian and vehicular access to and into the site to accommodate anticipated traffic to and from the use. There is adequate room on Curtis Road to transport both equipment and product and little conflicting pedestrian and vehicular traffic.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yeah.
97H4, that there's adequate water supply and sewage disposal available to service the use. This is not applicable to this operation.
Move to accept.
Motion to accept, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yeah.
Section 97H5, there will be no noise, dust, odor, vibration, or smoke generated by the use of that will adversely affect neighboring properties. In that, generation of dust, vibrations, odors, and noise will be generated by the activity, but on a temporary basis, on the same scale as construction operations, and will be completed by October 1st.
October 1, 30?
October 1st, 2013.
We want to go October 1st or we want to go October 30th?
Depends when he gets his windows.
Okay. Have a motion?
Motion
Open it
changes.
for discussion.
Okay, so we have a second?
John, you have a motion?
I did not. I was questioning the September one.
Yeah, we should.
Okay, so I move to make that September, is it 30th or 31st? Move to accept the change to the end of September, end of October.
Okay, have a motion to have the project completed.
So I guess we could say November 1st.
Have a motion
One on October 31st.
to have all operations completed by November 1st,
Yeah.
2013. Do I have a second?
Something like
Have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion?
Was there discussion on this, having a 3-month window at some point?
There was.
Is that?
It's more than a 3
There was
month.
discussion.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that's regulatory or just arbitrary based on what he had thought his schedule was going to be?
There's nothing regulatory about it.
Okay.
I think the only reason to get it done before winter is if you have rehab operations you have to do there, either to the road or to land in there. But you need to do it before it's frozen up.
So you could construe that the rehab operations are part of this whole activity
Correct.
and need to be done by November 1st?
Correct.
Okay. No further discussion, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous?
97H6 is the physical characteristics of the site, including location, slope, soils, drainage, and vegetative cover is suitable for the proposed use. The site is relatively level and suitable for logging operations as long as all logging road operations follow best practices established by the city and town of Arundel.
Move to accept.
Second.
Are we just deleting road?
Yeah. No.
No.
Logging
Loading
along the road.
on the road follows best practices, I'm sorry. Too convoluted the way it was written.
Okay. I have a motion?
You second it.
Yeah, it
Motion, second, any other discussion? And the motion was to approve with the change for all in favor?
Yeah.
Section 97H7, that the use will not constitute public or private nuisance. No nuisances will be generated by the proposed expansion.
Move to accept.
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous.
Section 97H8, that all other requirements and applicable provisions of this ordinance, particularly any pertinent performance standards are met, having those met all pertinent portions of the Arundel land use ordinance and design of proposed activities. Therefore, sorry.
We have a motion, do I have one?
Second motion to accept.
Second. Any
Question.
Okay, Marty?
Documentation for before and after.
That's going to be in the conditions.
Yeah, there's another condition. Good
Logos.
Good catch, though. Okay,
Which, put something in the ordinance.
have a motion, have a second, any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Therefore, be it resolved that based on the above findings and conclusions, the Arundel Planning Board hereby approves the conditional use application of Terry West Timberlands to engage in timber harvesting operations for the sole removal up to 60% of the basal volume of existing trees on a 44-acre parcel located in Curtis Road, tax map 25, lot 6, in the RP and R4 district, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant should make an engineering and/or photo documentation of the existing condition of Curtis Road property prior to operations and make all remedial corrections to the base and surface of Curtis Road and to the entrance to Downing Road upon completion of operations. Results should be submitted to the code enforcement officer. 2, no operations, no harvesting operations shall commence prior to 7 a.m. and extend beyond 10 p.m. of any day. And the applicant shall be responsible to apply water and/or calcium chloride to the surface of Curtis Road to control dust from vehicle traffic as needed. Marty, you want to put something in about load limits?
Yeah, as long as it's, you can phrase it, but the gist of it is to, not to exceed load limits on its exits of transportation.
Well, do we have to have a motion before we can discuss these points?
Yeah, we gotta get the.
You can take them one at a time, or you can take them as a group. It's up there.
I prefer to do these one at a time.
Okay, no mistake.
Okay.
Documentation, so the first one would be documentation of before and after conditions of the road, especially as far as we're concerned, especially the Downing Road, but of the entire Curtis Road where they're operating.
Is Is there any discussion on it? If there is none, we'll just proceed to.
The way this is written, it has an engineering and photo documentation.
Said and or.
Okay. Good.
Unless, if the board wants to make it strictly engineering, fine.
They have to, may I speak? They have to have a standard to go by already. There is no standard.
Now, the board can apply whatever conditions it feels is appropriate to an existing application. My only comment and discussion would be, do we want a date by which they need to provide this to the code enforcement officer, or can't start to do that? We don't have to get it existing prior to.
Well, it says it right there, prior to operations. No?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. Everybody comfortable with that change to order? Okay. No operation shall commence prior to 7:10. Any comments?
I would like to move that starting time up earlier. It's just, during the summer, there's daylight, get the job done. So I would like to see it maybe 5 to 9, since they're really not operating very close to any of their butters.
We did have comment from one of the folks that they didn't care if there was anybody there.
Yeah, but Tad commented that the harvesting operation, which is the noisiest part, they can do everything else before 7, but they can't harvest.
Well, harvesting living is pretty noisy too.
Harvesting what?
Harvesting and living are pretty noisy. Yeah, it depends on the machines too.
The way that it had gotten changed before was no harvesting operations shall commence prior to 7.
Right,
And
so
shall not
limiting
extend.
harvesting, right. But I would like to suggest that the board consider changing the 7 to 5.
The only thing I would bring to your attention is section 716C1 of our noise ordinance, which says sounds emanating from construction and maintenance activities conducted between 7 and 10 p.m.
Right.
Those are not permitted.
But this is neither construction nor maintenance.
And this is not per se near any residence.
What's the approximate distance to the nearest house?
Dana?
600 feet to build this, maybe, at 1,500 to my way.
How much? 50?
Oh, 600 to me,
And to you?
1,500.
So there's more than an adequate barrier.
Okay, have a motion to change that to 5 a.m. Do I have a start time? Do I have a second for that?
Or
Having
sunrise.
Okay, we can take that in another motion. Not having a second, I'll open it up for further discussion.
Sunrise.
I think we're gonna stay with the ordinance of 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's my kind of feeling.
Yeah, and I think, although we're
We've got an
we're only
applicant
talking
that's
about
already agreed to it.
Sunrise, yeah.
Do I have a motion to move this at the 7 to 10? The no harvesting operations? By anybody?
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Zucchinis already made a motion.
Yes, but we didn't get a second, and I closed it. And then we went on to Dawn, we didn't get a second, we closed it.
I make a
I'm
motion.
asking a motion for the 7 to the 10.
Oh, so you're gonna extend it till 10 o'clock in the evening?
Yes. That was a change in the earlier discussion, right? That was our ordinance, 7 to 10.
Our ordinance is 7 to 10.
7 to 10 would be consistent with the ordinance, so that we don't have to.
I'll make a motion to accept it, read 7 to 10.
Not sunrise?
Okay. Do I have a second for 7 to 10?
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? 3 in favor, 2 opposed. Passes. 3, the applicant shall be responsible for flood water and or calcium. Any discussion on that? Everybody in agreement? Applicants shall not exceed load limits on their exit.
Town roads, town roads.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to accept that one.
Motion to accept, second?
Second.
A second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous. 5, I'd like to add a condition that the applicant provide written permissions from all of the abutters to the town plan, including a statement to be obtained from the one individual. Was that Hagel?
Front,
Free.
do you know the, CMP as well?
No.
No, the residents. They're on the road that own part of the road.
Okay. He's not a resident, he's just a.
He's not a resident, he's actually from Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Well,
he
not
owns
resident,
the road.
landowner.
If they're gonna use the road, they need his half of the road, we need permission for them to use that half of the road. If you're not going to use that half of the road, then we can amend this, the written permissions that were photocopied, need to be provided to the town plan. Everyone in agreement, or do I have a motion?
Well, we've got a finding of fact, essentially stipulating that he's done such.
But he hasn't.
Well, he's done enough at this point to be able to get out.
Right.
If you were to make that stipulation, if he wants to use that, the whole part of Curtis Road in that location, we need his permission.
Correct.
So that would be the full width of the road?
Correct.
The other side of the road, actually, Freeman's on the other side, right?
Yeah.
He's on the other side.
So he doesn't need that side.
Right.
No. Just don't drive on that side of the road.
Well, that's their,
He doesn't put it that way.
I don't see the yellow line.
okay.
I have a question on that, though.
Yep.
Seeing how the Curtis Road is privately owned, why does the town care? It's an agreement between myself and the landowners on the road, not with the town. I'm just curious why the town needs those documentation.
Because you can't prove otherwise that you are providing safe vehicular access to and from the site.
And you have to demonstrate that you have right title and interest to do whatever you're going to do. And without that permission from the landowners, you can't do that. Which was brought up by one of the landowners.
You did in the tracks last time is because you didn't have right title and interest to use the road.
Right. I just didn't know what the town cared.
Because
The only way
that's who
that,
they call first.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
yes, do I have a second? No second?
I'll second it.
Actually, I need a motion.
You motioned
Did
it.
you make the motion? No, I just said I'd like to have one added. I can't make the motion.
Why not?
Sir,
So moved.
go ahead.
No.
Okay.
So moved.
So Roger's gonna have the motion, you're gonna have the second?
I said so moved.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? If they're gonna use the other half of the road, then we need to get the permission, needs to be provided to the town. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Along with the other ones that were, okay.
All right.
So, just to be clear, I need to find Mr. Freeman, get permission from him, any pictures of the road.
And the gate. gate, the entry area.
I'll get keys to the gate.
What he means, the entry means the Downing Road intersection, where you're coming on.
Oh, yeah, I've got,
That's part of the work.
Okay, yeah. I gotta break up the landing.
Yeah.
And, I need to check the road posting on the Downing Road. Yeah. That's fine. I just want my to-do list, but.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And we should be providing you that as well.
Yeah, we can sign it and give it to you now, but it's been modified a little bit.
That's fine, yep.
So, I'll get that to you. We'll make that amendment, and you're gonna be around, or shall we email it?
I'd like to have
Email
a,
it to me as soon as you do it.
I'd like to have the final vote by the board on that, inclusive of all of them. So approved by the Arundel Planning Board this 13th day of June 2013. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's difficult. I'd like to close Canlot Timber Harvest. Congratulations, you're almost set to go. North Chapel Common.
You all done with me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
See ya.
North Chapel Common Museum.
Mr. Chairman, I'll recuse myself as an abutter.
Good.
Get the mud out of the car.
Couple of,
I probably should let the remaining members of the board know, if that's all right, that I previously was employed by Sebago Technics, no longer.
okay, I don't see any reason for him to have to recuse himself. Because we take unanimous by the board.
I just wanted to, I didn't think it would be an issue.
We all work for
Everybody works with Sebago at that point or another, right?
Thank you for the disclosure.
Actually, the Sebago Technics is not technically retained by the applicant. I personally have donated my time to them. Sebago Technics did do, as you know, a small part of this with respect to engineered stormwater calculations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's the afterthought.
Okay, did you want to make any further presentation of what you did
No, I
during
think
the
we're good.
public hearing? I think we're good there. Ted, did you have any other comments that you'd like to make?
I think the only outstanding issues that we talked about, and we talked about with the applicant, the issue that turf parking is what the board's going to go with. That's fine. And the only warning we have to the looking over the drainage calcs, the concern is that by the time you do this, we might have 0 peak runoff. I don't think that'll apply to you. But it could affect your drainage. If you go to gravel on that area, it could affect your drainage. So I think I would say to the applicant and to the board that the applicant would be cautioned that if they decide to go from sod to gravel at some future date because of maintenance issues, that you'd have to come back to the board to do that conversion.
Understood.
That would be a fair thing to do, and then we could take a look at those numbers again and make sure that we're not creating any problems. Also, I also want to notify you that you are no longer in the Thatcher Brook watershed, Urban. That was, you were dropped from that.
Good.
Swan Pond is no longer in that watershed study area, and it's been contracted considerably. So that danger's gone. I think the only other issues that one of the issues. Well, let me look at this again, make sure I've got everything. The issue of striping, Mr. Chairman. This is a problem we've had before. The planning board has recognized that this is not, and the applicant is convincing the case that this is not a commercial operation. Therefore, it is not required to have bituminous paving. The board has consented to that and agreed to the parking also being on the reinforced turf parking. Our only problem is we do have that floating ordinance requirement that you stripe all parking spaces. because that's what was required. It is not, it is independent of commercial or industrial designation.
Point of interest, we don't have to have the stripe in your driveway. So, I mean, either if it's dirt or paved, so I don't think striping is necessary. I mean,
It is a parking area.
There's a parking area in there.
so is your driveway,
There's
a parking area.
There's a provision at E, the next one, that kind of refers, in aisles utilizing diagonal, I'm reading from 76C3E, in aisles utilizing diagonal parking, directional arrows shall be painted onto pavement to indicate traffic flow. Kind of goes to the intent, to me anyway, and this just for the board to consider, that the intent would go with it on paved areas, either paved or reinforced gravel. This is a sod area, and I don't think the intent was ever to stripe grass.
I don't think it was, but I also don't think the intent was ever to have grass parking, nor was the intent to ever have gravel parking. You guys demanded that everybody put in bituminous. And then over the years, what's happened is we've made some changes to the ordinance and not made changes to other sections of the ordinance. For instance, seasonal parking lots, which were not permitted before, or now are permitted, and but they still have to be striped. We haven't made any changes to the striping requirement or to the traffic directional requirement being painted on the surface.
Question. 16 years ago, turn wasn't required.
What?
16 years ago, did not need to be striped.
Well,
This is this ordinance, Marty. This is the ordinance as it is now. 16 years ago, we used the ordinance then.
Off-season parking, turn gravel parking lots, and everything else didn't require to have be striped.
We didn't have parking requirements back then either.
We did.
well, again, things happen over time. We have to deal with the current ordinance. The way the current ordinance reads, what the board feels the intent of that ordinance is and the applicability to this applicant, and their intent is not to, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, stripe sod. Right? Or
Yes, that's correct.
at this point, and that's at this point. Should the board look at this and decide that, yes, by the ordinance and the way that it's written, and you have the two sections that I encourage you to read, the 76C3B and the A, B, and C, actually, with all of them. And make your determination how they should go.
Mr. Chairman, can I weigh in on this?
Absolutely.
You know, what these people are trying to develop here is something that doesn't look like Walmart. It's a historical site. And I think the planning board has it within the rights of your ordinance, literally, to allow them to do what they want to do, not stripe either gravel or turf. If you look at 7.6.C3D, it says parking stripe should be painted. It doesn't say shall be. We're further on, it's more specific regarding 7.6C3F states that handicap spaces shall be in accordance with local code, which requires painting. We're complying with the shalls. We're electing not to go along with the should because of the look that we're trying to create.
And one person I agree with.
Yeah, if they had pavers, they wouldn't be putting stripes on them, would they? If they had pavers, grass pavers, they wouldn't be striping grass pavers.
Oh, I don't disagree that we shouldn't be striping gravel and we shouldn't be striping grass. It's ludicrous. But the only thing I am doing is I am also looking at what should required other people to do. We've had precedents before.
And that was with hard pack gravel.
That was with hard back gravel. Do I think we should stripe grass? No, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
The problem is in our construction of language doesn't address either one of those issues. It should.
Put it on our bucket list.
Well, it says basically, when we talk about construction of language, shall, as will, says, and will are mandatory, may is the permissive one.
Yeah, and I know, but should is also made, in my opinion.
And you can make that determination if you wish.
I mean, that's the latitude that I think he's saying that the board has, and that we.
Sure. Good. The board should make that determination.
I agree.
So in the past, the board has required gravel parking spaces to be striped.
Correct.
What do you mean one spot?
Well, you also required delineation of parking spaces from the Adrian Grant's place too. You did have the wheel stops, if you recall. That was the way you delineated parking spaces there, which was a big plowing problem because she's only seasonal.
Yeah, and that was all paved, that area.
Oh,
No, it's all gravel.
It's all
It's
gravel.
an all gravel spot.
Yeah, but it's gravel, I mean,
Right.
hard pack gravel. The two instances have been hard pack gravel, not grass.
She has not striped, she just uses wheel stops.
So, how does the board feel? Have a motion? Question on the motion?
I mean, if we have the latitude not to strike, then I'm for that, because I think the grass is laughable and that the gravel's not gonna stay long.
Both are laughable.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah, what you would do, if you really needed to do that, is you delineate with something like wheel stops.
Right.
Or,
Berm.
no, when you use a berm, you like the berm. And use pavers or something like that. You know, just the pull-in space, a header, if you will. That's what I would use in that situation. But Mr. Conway is showing a remarkable way of looking at our language and finding holes in it. And,
I commend him for that.
it's another hole to plug.
We're not trying to really evade the intent of the ordinance.
And the board knows that. The board knows that.
Any comments from the public? Dan?
The board has used should before as a, doesn't have to be. I mean, we, throughout the years, that has come up, shall, may, should. And we've made decisions before on should as being, doesn't have to be. So it's not out of the board's realm to do that.
You're saying should would be as a suggestion
Correct.
instead of a
Correct.
requirement.
They may do it or they may not.
We've done that throughout on various other parts of the ordinance.
Okay, so anybody want to make a motion to section 76C3 D being applicable to this project?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, have a motion that the board is considering the verbiage of 76C3D that Pinterest should be used giving the applicant the ability not to put in stripes. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Do you understand that, Ted? Is that satisfactory?
Fine with me.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
So moved. For this project, then, you do not have to worry about that. We did talk buffering and landscaping, and for the record, I believe the applicant is in agreement that on the Limerick Road in the area between the sodded parking area and the street, that there will be some shrubs, ferns that are
Right on either side
nice
of the entrance
buffers
and here to
correct.
buffer the view from,
Two 19-foot, that's the 19
Yes.
feet each side of the roadway.
yes.
And
Yeah.
So that, those areas should be, and that'll make a real nice entry for you, meet the intent of our regulation as well, I think. So that would be a part of the conditions that you actually do that. The town planner has also made the recommendation that as a performance assurance, that the applicant's engineer, so we're going to need somebody to certify that the proposed improvements have been constructed in compliance with the approved drawings. So when we get to that part of it, so all certifications and will be sealed by a professional engineer licensed to practice in Maine, so it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody else. Is the board in agreement with that? And do I have a motion that we follow the planner's recommendation? Pat?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would also recommend that we could do a professional landscape architect license in the state of Minnesota.
I'm sorry?
A professional landscape architect license in the state.
For those two areas in front of the road?
Yep. Oh, there was certification.
Why?
Because the designer is a landscape architect. Let the designer tell me it was built the way we intended to build it.
He's talking about the project, and I
I'm
think
talking about the
that's
project.
great. And I'm capable and qualified to do so. So he's a PE or landscape architect.
Right. Or RLS.
Is this setting a precedent?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
Is this setting a precedent?
So it's licensed,
Maybe.
what's the term?
Professional engineer or landscape architect.
Registered landscape architect, is that what it is?
Registered.
License.
Good. Okay. I have a motion from the board that that's what they'd like to see. Anybody?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion for performance assurance that we have a professional engineer or a registered landscape architect certified all the improvements. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Do I have any further discussion? on
Yeah,
that?
I don't want to make this a precedent.
Okay.
Because
And I would say, due to the relatively light-duty improvements here, that I would, as a professional engineer, I would be okay with that in this circumstance. But probably in future ones, I would not.
And I would comment that it's one and the same, and it's volunteer actually doing this, again, I'd say thank you. But I have a motion second.
You got a
Any
question,
other
Dan?
discussion? Dan?
To go along with Marty's point here, is there a requirement in the ordinance to do that? I mean, if you're doing it now, if it's a good thing, that's fine, but, don't want to muddy up future applicants down the road and force them to do something that is not in the ordinance.
that's what I said,
It's not
precedent.
in the ordinance. Because we don't use, our use in lieu of using the professional designer to inspect and to approve of the construction that's done is not really specified in the ordinance. That's something we've been doing for quite a while. That's a precedent that we've been doing for quite some time. We've been having the designer inspect and certify to us that it's done according to their specifications.
And we do have
And I'll tell you
professional
this, if we're gonna
engineers
start
that
doing,
fight
we're
all
gonna make a
that.
distinction to that, then we're gonna have to require landscape architects to inspect all landscaping jobs that's done by engineers. Because they're not certified to do it. And we've had plenty of plans in which we've had engineers seal drawings that are landscape plans, and they're not certified to do so in the state of Maine. So in this particular case, what we've got is we've got a design professional who's registered in the state, who's done the work, that is within the province and his capability to do that work. And as Jamie mentions also, given the nature of it, given the fact that the stormwater was done by a professional engineer, and that this layout was done by a landscape architect, the landscape architect's making sure the layout and the construction is done to his specifications, and following the stormwater structures that were specified by the design engineer, then you're assured that
What do we do on a normal, when business comes in and they provide a landscaping plan? That's engineered through their architect, right? I mean, that happens.
no, it's done by an architect who asks a plantsman or asks a nursery to give him a plan. And I will tell you, engineers are not licensed to do that work.
We do have the requirement for them to submit the plan. To me, it's just another step in a process. We're looking at a process. If you have to get a plan by whatever professional engineer, professional architect, professional electrician, whatever the plan, then it needs to be certified that they did it. I don't see it as a big leap myself.
Well, my concern is in this particular case, it's voluntary. But, if you're doing this, we're adding more costs of somebody that's, putting a plan together that we don't, and I don't believe that we've done in the past. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that we've done this in the
We
past.
do it all the time at staff level, because we don't want to we don't put escrows on a lot of projects. Because if we don't do that, then we put an escrow and ask the Historic Society to come in and give us a bond in the amount of all the improvements. This is in lieu of that. And we have done that before in conditional use applications, and we even did it over at the Cape Arundel Golf Course. We did that. We said, you will have an inspection, you will get a certification from that design engineer and from that landscape architect that this has been installed in accordance with the plan, and they're giving us a bond.
If you got, if we've done
Did we
it,
have
I
to
just
get that
don't
at
recall.
Rumble Auto to the new one?
Yeah, we did that also. We've done it in a lot of places. We
Yeah.
did it at County Connections.
County Connect.
County
Yeah,
Connections.
but we've done this several
I don't remember that particular step.
times.
Yeah, that was one we did in
And then before,
November.
that's great.
Mr. Peck has.
And it's basically so we don't
Mr. Peck.
put that pressure on these folks to come up with money to do the job, because we know that they're gonna be doing the job, over a period of time. They're gonna slam it in the next couple of weeks. They're gonna be doing this over time as they raise the funds, and that ensures that we don't either take resources that they need to do the job and hold those resources. And basically, we're relying on the professional integrity and on the stamp of the design person.
Mr. Peck?
If that's the intent of performance assurance, I would take that first line out of there and delete the word recommends. Recommend gives us some latitude. It's kind of like should.
That was how it was written. The proposal was that it would actually be, all certifications would be done either by the licensed professional engineer and
I missed that. All right, thank you.
This is just my staff notes. This is the legal. This is not the
findings of
Findings
fact
of
or
fact.
conditions of approval, which will come next, but we're just getting all of that
Okay, thank you.
at this time. Okay, all of the other issues I think that were talked in the past, soil, septic, everything else the board was comfortable with the last time.
We
And,
had a motion on the floor.
oh, I'm sorry, have a motion, have a second. All discussions ended with that?
Mr. Chairman, how did you decide, what landscaping did you decide was acceptable along the front lot line?
The 19, they're going to put in the shrubs at the 19 feet that is it 19 feet? I think it was
On each side of the roadway.
19 feet on each side of the access road going in.
Facing,
Limerick Road.
Because it's very, it shall be landscaped along the property lines with shrubbery, trees, or other landscape materials. That could be ground cover as well, that could be grass. It could be tall grass. Just thought I'd throw that out.
Correct, and we could, and we talked that a little bit. If they decide not to, that gives them a great entrance, but I guess that's an option. Another one, now he's finding out, I guess.
Yes, they have their green vegetation buffer.
It's
Oh,
not
they
a
have
buffer,
that.
it's landscaping. Let's make that.
You can add something like trees and shrubs to the condition to address that.
You want to be able to see it, don't you?
Based on our discussion, you're either gonna have to put in mulch, something to show that some sort of landscaping was done. In our discussion in the field, it was gonna be some nice shrubs or something in that area would be put in. And that matched with the intent of the regulation. And I think, Matt, your desire to have a real nice entry, Mr.
LaGrosse. I was in business for 38 years in landscaping, just advising people, okay, landscapers. I don't have no engineering degree or college degree. I'd be willing to sit down with them to save money, is committed, with my knowledge, to display and show them what we've done in that area. It's all right with them. It's all right with the board. Okay,
Sure.
saving money.
That meet your question?
I was just throwing out options that
Okay.
fine landscaping is basically a question of this particular case. Because one thing I want to also bring up is, and I should have written in the notes, is that the one thing that we always have to remember is this is in fact a historical area. I mean, this is intended to be a historical site. You must remember with 19th century and 18th century, but this is 18th century. These were 17, 15,
1795.
1790, okay, it's on the
So
cusp.
borderline.
Landscaping at that time was grass.
whatever trees were left over after you did.
Well, you put a fruit tree in where the privy was when you had a kid born. That's pretty much what you did. And using the privy area for your, because of the nutrients there, you put in a fruit tree.
It grew.
Very well. So I just, I opened this Pandora's box.
I think it's fine. The landscaping, you know, that can be as determined by them as long as they know that it can be any of those things. And I think that's something that they really want to do, and they'll fill in that 19 and provide you with a plan that should be asked.
Should be.
Should be asked.
Should be.
I'm easy.
Be compatible to the age of the project.
Whatever. So have a motion, have a second. Any other discussions by anybody here? All in favor of requiring that landscaping at 19 feet and the submittal of a plan and a sign plan?
Question, what was the actual wording now? We've been round and round on this. So what is that actually going to read?
Okay. The applicant shall provide landscaping on 19 feet on either side of the entrance at Limerick Road of the church parking area. They will submit a plan as such. And in lieu of performance assurance, the applicant's engineer and/or a registered, licensed, registered landscape architect, didn't even read my own notes, shall certify that proposed improvements have been constructed in compliance with the drawings. So therefore, you have to submit drawing and plan, and then when you guys get to the bill, it just has to be in conformance with whatever you determine is best in there for the estimate. Have a motion, have a second, all in favor? have 3, 4, 1 opposed, passes. I believe to be consistent with regulation, the board should make a determination on the appropriateness of the buffering between the buildings, the proposed locations of the buildings and the residents behind during staff walk. The board didn't seem to have too many issues in a foliated state. It sure seemed to be adequate, but that's a determination I think that the board needs to make, because when all of those leaves fall and so forth, there may come to be some sort of question on that. Pat, comment on that?
No, I didn't have a comment. That's why we did the site walk, was to determine the suitability of the existing vegetation to accomplish the standards of section 76C.
So if someone on the board would entertain that the requirements of section 762 are met, we can just proceed.
I'd like to make a motion that the requirement for 762, the applicant property meets those conditions.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Where, Mr. Chairman, that's vehicular circulation.
You just quoted your number. You're the one that brought it up.
76C, 3C?
3C, 76.
C, 3C.
And
it's in the ordinance,
okay, so the motion is that the requirements of 76, that the existing condition meets the requirements of 76C3A, but that goes into other landscaping.
No, C3.
76C3C, right?
Yeah, that's
dealing with parking lots, right?
No, it's dealing with landscaping along parking lots, because that's the only issue here. The issue here is landscaping along parking lots.
The board was asked to look at the buffering between the buildings and the residents, which was the side lot line. One of the items that we had to deal with during this sidewalk, which were sorry, they're all wet. Okay, flood center line buffer. And the board out there did, the members of the board that participated in the sidewalk felt that with the foliage in place, that the requirement
Buffing was
that
adequate.
screening was adequate.
Right.
So
Let's put it to bed.
that's all I'm trying to do, so it doesn't come up and bite anybody in the future. Okay. So motion is that landscape line be high flat line with residents are, and that's
Adequate.
most southerly, I guess.
It's a southern boundary, yes.
The southern boundary of the property is adequate. Have a second to that, Marty?
Yeah,
All in favor?
yeah.
Okay, that's the bed and shouldn't come back up again. Okay, if we can, Ted, I'd like to move to the, unless you have any other items.
The only other question I have to ask is, are you gonna have a contract with the septic hauler for the holding tank?
I would assume we
I
will,
was
yes.
thinking we would too. So you would have no objection if we make that part of the conditions that you would give us a copy of that contract?
Well, since I don't know off the top of my head how that works, I'm reluctant to agree to anything until I know what I'm talking about. It's just me.
Well, what we basically, in order to say that you've taken care of all the septic on the property, what we're doing is we're just saying that you will get a contract with a hauler to haul off that material, pump the tank and haul it off and dispose of it properly, on a regular basis, on an as-need basis. And you're probably going to have a contract with them, because otherwise you're going to, sometime it's going to backflow on you when you flush the toilet.
Usually it's on will call.
Yeah, well,
If a contract is the standard way to approach that, I don't think we have any objections to that.
it's usually the same.
What's the anticipated discharge and time that 1,000-gallon tank will near its capacity?
That's
How
the
many
problem.
flushes you get.
It's very variable,
It'll be seasonal, very much.
very variable.
It's going to vary with the seasons.
And also with the intensity of the use, that is essential holding tank for all the facilities. Now, one facility is not going to have I don't believe the barn's going to have any interior facilities. The Lund House and the Burnham House will.
Actually, if I may, the most the Burnham House will have in it is a sink.
Okay, but that's still,
And that will be just for, purposes of cleaning for our own maintenance purposes. So that's gonna have minimal discharge. The Lund House will have a sink and a toilet, but again, because it's the administrative building, not a ton of use. The meeting house is the one that's gonna generate the use. So really, 3 buildings out of 4, minimal to none. And then the seasonal aspect is, for example, right now, October for us is a big month. We have a lot of events. And November, we might have nothing. So,
Requirement just to be sure for the health, welfare, safety of all of the people that are coming there, that's going to be adequate.
Be one way we don't restrict it.
And so
18
forth.
cents.
It's not an additional requirement, it's something you really have to do anyway. Okay, Tad, at this point, I'd like you to read findings of fact, if you would, and then any of these other discussion items that any of the board feel should be added in, you can, and or not, I have total confidence that they're going to be done.
okay. Whereas on May 9th, 2013, the Arundel Planning Board received a conditional use application from the Arundel Historic Society to develop a museum and community gathering space consisting of 3 relocated historic structures totaling approximately 29,446 square feet, and the construction of a 36 by 90 replica meeting house with associated parking at the proposed 3-acre parcel, tax maps 8, lot 7, located on Limerick Road in the R4 district. Whereas on June 13th, 2013, the Arundel Planning Board conducted an advertised public site walk on the premises and expressed concerns to the applicant about the proposed project. Whereas on June 13th, 2013, the Arundel Planning Board conducted a public hearing on the proposed project. Whereas the Arundel Planning Board has arrived at the following findings of fact. Number 1, the applicant and owner of the property is the Arundel Historical Society. Number 2, the property is located on the Limerick Road, tax map 8, lot 7 in the R4 district. 3, proposed 3-acre parcel and parent parcel map 8, lot 7. And I assume you will be 7A when this goes through the next round of Beth's recordings. Are devoid of existing structures, consist of a good combination of pasturland and upland woodland with a 5 to 7% gradient to the north and northwestern tributaries of the Swan Pond Brook. 4, the applicant proposes to reset the relocated historic Lund House and Burnham House and the Burnham Barn onto permanent foundations and construct a 36 by 90 wood frame reproduction of the historic North Chapel Meeting House on the property for the purposes of creating a museum and headquarters for the Arundel Historical Society and community meeting area. 5, the proposed use as a museum celebrating the agrarian history of Arundel shall be supported by the construction of 23-space gravel parking lot along with 2 turf permanent overflow parking lots providing an additional 51 overflow parking spaces. 6, utilities provided to support the facility consists of an on-site well, a 1,000-gallon septic holding tank, electrical power, outdoor lighting to be limited to 100 watt incandescent lighting, and lantern luminaires.
Stop. You said as or stated that it would be underground? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it's on the plans, it's overhead or underground.
Correct.
Okay.
It's going to depend on how much money you produce.
That's why
Obviously,
we
they
put it
prefer to
that
have
way.
it underground.
yes, we would prefer it underground.
7, stormwater generated on the site shall be discharged to the north of the Swan Pond watershed via sheet flow mitigated by impact plunge pools and well springs.
That's a question to the chair, for the applicant. Was any consideration of the sort of the newer style stone berm level spreaders versus the more traditional plunge pool style? You know, when DEP instituted the buffering standard?
I'm not aware of that option being considered.
I was just wondering if that would be in lieu of the, albeit slight increase in runoff, if that would be a way to mitigate it a little better. But just didn't know if that was ever discussed or looked at with your.
No.
I'm not aware of it either. Changes are always possible in the future if it turns out to be better. Mr. Redwood?
I've lost my spot.
What's the page? Next page.
Oh, I was in the right spot. We're on 8. Okay. Record plan submitted on part of the, as part of the conditional use application includes the following: property survey plan showing land to be conveyed to the Arundel Historical Society, Limerick Road, Arundel, Maine, prepared by Scott Donald, PLS, and dated December 12, 2011. Grading and utility plan for Arundel Historical Society, prepared by William Conway, RLA, and dated 1/25/13. Site plan for Arundel Historical Society, prepared by William Conway, RLA, and dated 1/25/13. Site details for Arundel Historical Society, prepared by William Conway, RLA, and dated 1/25/13. Stormwater management plan, prepared by Sebago Technics, Inc., and dated March 26, 2013. 9, the applicant's proposed layout meets all the space and bulk requirements of the R4 district. Conformance with the conditional use criteria. After due review and consideration, the Arundel Planning Board has determined the application to be in conformance with the criteria of sections 9, 7H of the Arundel Land Use Ordinance as follows. 9.7H1. The proposed use is compatible with and similar to the general categories of uses in neighboring properties. The proposed museum consists of 18th and 19th century residential and agricultural structures secured from locations within the immediate neighborhood, and therefore are similar in scale and proportion to surrounding structures and uses. Proposed North Chapel building is proposed to be of similar scale and height to the former chapel building that once stood in this area. It says on this property, but it is not on this property.
In this area?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, I have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept that as written.
There's a motion, have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Yeah.
Section 9.7H2, the use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and anticipated future development of this neighborhood in that comprehensive plan permits museum uses in this district as conditional use and encourages the celebration and preservation of Arundel's agrarian past. The proposed museum will accomplish these planned objectives.
Have a motion
I'll make a motion
to accept?
to accept, yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yeah.
I have a motion, have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, all in favor.
Section 9.7H3, that there is adequate and safe pedestrian vehicular access to and into the site to accommodate anticipated traffic to and from the use. Proposed entrance to the complex provides adequate site distance to the north and southbound traffic on Limerick Road, and that exceeding the 45 mile/hour standards in section 77A. Project is approximately 600 feet from the Limerick Road, Route 111 intersection, provides adequate queue space for an anticipated low-impact museum. Activities public defense and the proposed North Chapel are anticipated to slightly lower the LOS level of service at the Limerick Route 111 intersection for left turning traffic.
Make a motion to accept it.
Question.
Yes.
Entrance, does that show the entrance turn out to be the paved entrance? For not pulling to any mud or anything else onto Limerick Road? which,
No, it does not do that, and that is gonna be in a condition. You have to pay the entrance.
We shall have paint, I believe.
Did you?
Yeah.
Let me just check on that. I think you did. Come and take a look.
Yes.
You did. Yep, it was in the detail, I believe, was it not?
25
The plan that I had shows it as paved or gravel apron.
which we requested it turn into be paved. You made businesses do it.
To a specific distance off the.
Usually within 10 feet or within the right of way to the property line.
No,
Pavement to the
we
property.
made them do it 30 feet, 30 feet in.
I believe the driveway standard is actually just within the town right of way. Unless-
I think what Marty's referring to, we made that requirement on the gravel pit operation.
Yeah,
That's because the
where they
gravel
dig-
pit's required for
You
the.
made it out of other, anything with gravel or anything else, driveway that turned, so there was nothing tracking onto Route 1 or anything else.
Okay, well, then.
I can, if you want to be specific, I will.
Okay. Where?
Me,
30 years ago. I have to go by the current.
Anything?
I mean, I would-
Ordinance?
did it down here, down on, Lake Road too.
I would recommend that the area depicted on the plan is paved or gravel be paved. I don't know the exact dimension there.
so there was nothing tracking onto it.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, the greater concern is to protect the edge of the limit road and to ensure that it maintains its integrity.
Yeah, that's from the town's perspective.
Absolutely, that's why we're reviewing it. And that's why, frankly speaking, I think Jericho is going to be replacing the apron on First Road. We can make that as a condition, Mr. Chairman. This is dealing with traffic flow and this section, 97H3 is actually dealing with traffic flow and traffic safety.
Okay.
So when we get to the conditions.
Then your
put in there,
motion would be appropriate.
I would say that would be the appropriate place to put that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Did we have a motion on?
We had a motion and a second.
We had a motion and a second. Do we have that?
Any other discussions at this point on this? All in favor?
Yeah.
They're unanimous.
Section 97H4, that there's adequate water supply and sewage disposal available to service the use. The applicants demonstrated the adequate on-site potable water is available. In the absence of soil suitable to support operation of on-site septic system, the applicant will construct a 1,000-gallon holding tank and provide the code enforcement officer with an executed and current contract with a licensed septic hauler to keep the holding tank pumped out in operation.
Do we need to at some point show, I mean, that's, this holding tank is, other than how the regulations say, prior we showed that the CEO accepted it?
Yeah, the CEO's already gone over this. He's fine with it. He's gonna have to go through HHE, you know. They have to approve it. Our concern at this point is to ensure that it's maintained over time.
Okay.
And obviously, that's the applicant's concern too, but in terms of health and ensuring that there's adequate sewage disposal, this is not traditional sewage disposal. This is unusual circumstances. It requires some unusual provisions to ensure that healthful sewage disposal is taken care of.
But I'll notice though.
Do I have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Good second.
I mean, my concern is that having a contract could be any number of things. I mean, it could be at a rate of once every 10 years. I mean, I don't think that's the anticipated direction, but the language here in this is vague, and that's why I was curious as to what the anticipated flow into the tank would be, understanding it's seasonal versus the volume to somewhat, put a semi-annual cleanout or an annual cleanout, whatever is appropriate.
Yes, and I really don't know how to, what the, and this is kind of new ground for us
Right.
too. We're usually used to holding tanks for a single use, usually a small use with very little generation. This is an unusual situation in that the generation is not predictable. It's predictable as long as you don't have any spaghetti suppers that are successful. Well, when you have a very successful spaghetti supper,
It will be time to clean the tank.
The way they bump it out after the week after this first
Right.
successful spaghetti supper.
exactly.
As comment to the way this is written, we have it that it's going to be executed, it's going to be current, it's going to go to the code enforcement officer, and what that contract should show is to keep the holding tank pumped out and operational. I'm not sure that doesn't meet the requirements. Mr. LeGros?
Most holding tanks has an alarm system that goes up to 750 gallons. The alarm goes off, you have 300 gallons capacity, you gotta pump out before the guy comes. So that solves the problem.
Yeah, that's required actually under PGG. Thanks, bud.
So that- Good.
But they have somebody to call, somebody who's on call.
Yep.
What it means is that they don't have to hunt around and try to call somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning when the alarm's set. That they have somebody who is available to come at all times, and it's contracted to do that. Which you want to do. Because cleaning up.
Well, and if the alarm is sounding with a adequate freeboard
Yep.
in the tank, even though it goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning because somebody's there cleaning it and runs the faucet for a little while, then it still would be suitable to have somebody come in the next available working day.
The Kindles will be
And to ensure that
John-
they have
John-
somebody who will
John-
do that, they don't have to hunt around and find somebody.
Is there any suggested change to the wording to me that being pumped out, kept operational? Kind of-
No, I'm
I mean,
okay reading that.
do we need to me it covers it, but there's a lot of good information that we just shared.
Could you change the wording to the 1,000-gallon holding tank or a state-approved on-board system? Because there are a lot of different systems. There could possibly be one that would fit that site that the state approves.
At this point, the code enforcement officer has approved the holding tank, is how we were able to proceed. I don't know if that's changed there.
If you get a better system in there, if you can get either
Suggest a change.
either an LSC who will design one in there, or you can get a system that'll go in there. I don't think that has to be something at a later date. I don't think the planning board has to have anything to do with that. I think that's just with the code enforcement officer, because what you've got is, we're saying right now that by putting in this holding tank, having the contract, having the alarm, what you've done is you've met that standard of having adequate septic. If you're gonna upgrade that at some future date, or before you even put this one, we're gonna leave that to the code enforcement officer alone. Okay, so it's almost an automatic thing. It's almost it would be, if you're gonna upgrade, the planning board's not gonna require you to stay in the dark ages with an old system. It's out of their hands. We're just verifying that this project meets the minimum standard. If you wanna go higher, terrific, go ahead. Don't let us stop.
So, did I have I have a motion, have a second, any other?
No motion?
I have a motion from you, no second yet.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of the 9784?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous approved, 9785.
Okay, 97H5, there will be no noise, dust, odor, vibration, or smoke generated by these that will adversely affect neighboring properties in that noise. The nature of the business does not generate any undue noise. The facility is periodically holds outside events that may periodically hold outside events that will be governed by the mass gathering ordinance, and the noise ordinance. Thus, the applicants shall be applying crushed stone to the surface of the gravel parking lot, thereby minimizing the potential generation of dust. Dirt parking areas shall be kept vegetated with grass at all times. Odor, this use will not generate any odor issues. Vibration, smoke, no vibration or issues of smoke will be generated on site. Glare, the applicants installing maximum 100-watt residential incandescent lighting shown on plans will be intensity and illumination equal to that of abutting property, residential properties.
Make a motion, we accept it as read.
Motion to accept, second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Question.
Okay, Marty?
If these are in such a way, they're having a couple week suppers or whatever else, why do they need a mass roast ordinance?
Why do they need what?
Mass gathering ordinance.
Only if they have a festival there. It's a community greeting. If you have a situation where you're going to have an older Rundle Days there, and you're going to have 250, 300 people there, obviously you have to go to the mass gathering.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they're having a supper and they have 150 people,
this facility would be exempt from the mass gathering ordinance because they have a facility that sits on 150 people.
This says for outside events.
And it says for outside events, yeah. They're going to be exempt from it because they're going to be no different than a church. They're going to be an established facility with a seating capacity of 150 people, and that's not going to be something covered by the mass gathering requirement. It's an outside event. If they were to have a festival, basically, that's all I'm saying. And that would be governed by other ordinances in the town. Saying, in other words, they will have events here, and those will be governed. They will be in compliance with other ordinances that we know of in town. Therefore, they're.
I was just making sure they don't have to keep running to go get a
Yeah, I think so, I'm aware and understand that. Okay. Have a motion to accept as written. Actually, we're changing the facility will to the facility may under noise. The last word in the first sentence there. Do I have a motion to approve? Have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Approved unanimous.
97H6, that the physical characteristics of the site, including location, slope, soils, drainage, and vegetation cover, will be suitable for the proposed use. Applicant will be performing significant grading operations of the site in order to accommodate the project. However, the proposed drainage structures and site grading have been designed to fit into the natural gradients of the land while not disturbing existing grading patterns and times of mineral concentration of the site. The applicant has also provided temporary soil erosion control measures to ensure that downstream sedimentation does not impact Swan Brook watershed, because I don't care about the actual brook. Swan Pond Brook watershed.
Swan
Pond Brook, yeah. It's been taken, this area's been taken out of the Patrick Brook watershed study area, which was a concern in Fort Dyer.
Good.
Okay.
We have a motion?
Yeah.
Second?
Second that.
Any discussions, further discussions, changing Thatcher Brook to Swan Pond? Motion to approve, second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous?
Section 97H7, the use will not constitute public or private nuisance. No nuisances will be generated by the proposed use.
Make a motion, we accept it. Second.
Motion to accept, second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Yeah.
It's Section 97H8 that all the requirements and applicable provisions of this ordinance, if you're going any pertinent performance standards are met. The applicant has met all the pertinent portions of the Arundel land use ordinance in the design of the proposed activities.
Move to be accepted as read.
Yeah.
Motion to approve, a second. Any comments, discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous? Approved.
Therefore, be resolved that based on the above findings and conclusions, the Arundel Planning Board hereby approves the conditional use application of the Arundel Historical Society to develop a museum and community gathering space consisting of 3 located historical structures and the construction of a 36 by 90 replica meeting house with associated parking on proposed 3-acre parcel. Tax map, 8 lot 7, located on Limerick Road in the R4 district, subject to the following conditions. Applicant shall maintain the health and integrity of the installed turf on all overflow parking areas at all times in order to avoid the creation of dust, sedimentation, or erosion right off the property. Number 2 is eliminated. Number 3, the new 2 is, which is 3. In no time shall the parking spaces designated as turf overflow parking on the approved plans be converted to gravel or paved parking without first receiving a revised conditional use permit from the Arundel Planning Board. Number 3.
See, number 3 is number 2. What is number 2?
Number 2 is eliminated.
Why?
Right.
Because we don't need a culvert there.
Okay.
Should the discussion of the
The apron.
The apron, we'll put that at the end. I'm sorry, we could have done that there, but we'll put it at number, it'll be the new number 6. So read
Why?
number, unless you want to go backwards.
Yeah, let's go back, let's go
We'll
back.
go backwards because.
And we can leave it just like
cross
it is.
All right, so we'll change number 2. Would you like to make?
What I suggest, based on the other comment, is that we just go the proposed driveway entrance on Limerick Road shall be constructed in with a 2-inch by 2-inch concrete apron, and that portion of the proposed driveway located within the Limerick Road right-of-way and as shown on your plan.
Okay.
I would say as shown on the plan because
Instead of.
We come in past the right of way.
Right.
Yeah, you do.
How many feet?
About 25.
Within the Limerick Road.
Usually we have 30 to 35.
Portion of
Gravel pits.
Nothing.
Yeah, within the limit of the
I'm telling you. I
paved
had
or
to-
gravel
Right
apron shown on the
now,
plan.
you don't do that anymore. You only do it to gravel pits. So it will say the proposed driveway entrance into Limerick Road shall be constructed with a 2-inch bituminous concrete apron.
or
In that
gravel.
portion of the proposed driveway located within the Limerick Road right-of-way.
We're going to get rid of the Limerick Road right-of-way as shown on their plan. That portion, apron as shown on the plan.
Proposed driveway as shown
Mr. Chairman.
Just 1 second, Mark. Dan?
To Marty's point, the ordinance is 30 feet, but it only applies to Route 1 and Route 11. The ordinance does not require you to put any, I mean, if the applicant wants to, fine, but the ordinance does not force you to do that apron that he's proposing. You can do whatever you want. The requirement is Route 1 through Route 11.
It's also for all driveways, abutting a town road. You find that under driveways.
Under the driveway section.
It doesn't say paved, so. Anybody can have a driveway, you don't force them to pave a driveway.
You force them to pave the driveway meaning the road, in order to save the road.
Yeah, you can turn, as long as you pave the town section.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's what the applicant that we just discussed would be comfortable with.
Okay.
Within the right of way,
Within the
not
right of way.
shown on the
That's, it was written, taking the right way.
Okay, so we're going to move it back to,
Within the right of way, that's really all they're obligated to do.
okay, we consider applicants' plans as they present. In the discussion, okay? I don't have any problem with the modification. So read it as it's going to come out. We're going to do the proposed driveway entrance onto Limerick Road shall be constructed in with a 2-inch by 2-inch concrete apron in that portion of the proposed driveway located within the Limerick Road right-of-way. Period. Applicant understands, good, we're taking out the remainder of that
The
paragraph.
remainder of that paragraph.
Okay, so for 2, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the changes made.
Okay. Second, No second. Anybody have a alternative?
I mean, unfortunately, the plan is not concise. It's not a paved, it says paved or gravel. And that's shown as a depicted area easily on the plan.
Another condition, the plan, we can submit a new plan showing.
So it needs a new plan.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
what I want to clear about is what if in the site plan ordinance, and I don't have the luxury of having one, is there a requirement to pave a certain distance in?
For driveways, yes, within the right of way.
So
Just the right of way, yeah, just the right of way.
So just to the right of way? Okay. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as written or as read. Have a second. All in favor?
No, I got discussion.
I'm sorry, I thought you had it. Go ahead.
No, I think it should be 30 feet. Very simple. You're gonna be having traffic back and forth.
Okay,
And it is considered being commercial or anything else.
Okay.
30 feet is not that much farther, so, but you're not tracking it.
Okay. Again, the ordinance reads within the right of way.
It's still commercial. And commercial was originally not allowed under your comprehensive plan into the residential zones. If you turn around, if it's still being commercial, even though it's nonprofit or anything else, you're still gonna have that much traffic and you're still gonna track.
Museums are a conditional use, permitted use in this area. And the board can make its own conclusion. I'm not trying to correct anybody. I understand your comment, as Dan has pointed out, the requirement for 30 feet in our ordinance applies to Route 1 and Route 111. The driveway standards require it be paved within, in all areas, if it's a residence, I believe, within the right of way, in all of the other streets other than 111 and Route 1. So to be consistent with the ordinance,
For the use here, I would support 20 feet from the existing edge of pavement. That's a car length.
well, the right of way is 25 feet. The ordinance reads within the right of way that they have to do, right? And we have we do have a motion. I mean, if it doesn't pass, and it looks like we've got two people that may not, then we can construct new language to have another vote on. Right now, I have a motion, have a second, that the proposed driveway entrance onto Limerick Road shall be constructed in with a 2-inch bituminous concrete apron in that portion of the proposed driveway located within the Limerick Road right-of-way. Any other discussion? All in favor of the way it was just read? Have 2, all opposed. That does not pass. We have 2 other proposals, or 2 other points of discussion that are different than the way that the ordinance kind of reads. Marty is looking for 30 feet. Jim, you're thinking for this application 25 feet. 20 feet might be adequate. As the board chair, I don't believe we, as a board, we have the power to change that part of the ordinance.
You've done it before.
I don't think so. I don't think we have.
Remember specifically, you have, because you turned around and said it had to be paved 30 feet in.
Where though, Marty? If it was on Route 1 or 111?
It was on Route 1.
That's the requirement, that's in the ordinance.
That's the
Just Route 1,
requirement for
just
Route 1.
111.
30
But
feet.
it was commercial.
Doesn't
So is
matter.
this being commercial?
What Matt said, this is not on Route 1 or 111.
Okay, fine.
Mr. Chair, I would like to also point out that this body made a determination at the last meeting that this was not a commercial operation. It
What
was
is
not,
that?
it was not to be considered a commercial operation that was subject to the requirements of a commercial parking lot. Because it was a non-profit museum, and then it did not have to subscribe to all the standards, otherwise the whole thing would be paid. Because the standards for commercial are to pay the whole smash, the parking lot, the driveway. As this board made that determination, it wasn't, so therefore it's not really obligated to pay the whole thing.
It's a very good point, which leads us back to the point of the ordinance requiring it to be within that right away.
Right away, I think that's what we should be sticking to. But this, I mean, you have dissension on the board on that.
Well, it's
Perhaps you find
difficult
out
to
a
see
compromise location.
on this plan that's not to scale. Could you provide an estimate off of a scale plan, what that distance is to the right of way?
You got a scale?
Well, irregardless of what a plan shows, once the board makes a condition.
So we can look at it together.
For that plan.
It's 20 feet.
That's what's done.
It's 22.
And that's what I was just realizing in looking at this plan is that,
Did you need that?
no, is that where I was thinking it probably would satisfy my concern of the length. I couldn't see that at first. Apologize.
Comment.
There's a question, the Arundel Bar Playhouse is an unpaved gravel driveway, and I don't believe the aprons are paved very extensively there at all. I don't know when they got their approval, but, and that's not a Route 1 property, it's off of Route 1, it's on the old post road and the river road, I guess. So I don't know what conditions they had to meet for that, and would this apply in the same situation, because it's a gravel parking area.
Very difficult to speak to when things were approved without all of the documentation. Was it a board error? Did they overlook potentially a requirement? I mean, that happens all the time.
So I would like to, I guess,
as an individual that voted no, you are allowed to.
I would like to re-propose the condition, as it was mentioned, to pave that to the limit of the right-of-way.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion, second, that we will pave it to the right of way. Any other discussion? Marty, any other comments? All in favor? 3, 4, 1 opposed. Passes. We're on number 3.
No additional permanent and impervious surface shall be constructed on the site without the approval of the code enforcement officer, staff, review committee, or the planning board. What did I miss? One? Oh, I thought I did that. We already did that. Oh, I have to go back.
Well, we went back. Restarted.
Okay, at no time shall any parking spaces designated as turf overflow parking on these roof plans be converted to gravel or paved parking without first receiving a revised conditional use permit from the Arundel Planning Board.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to set as read.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, you have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous?
Okay. No additional permanent impervious surface shall be constructed on the site without the approval of the code enforcement officer or the staff review committee. It's more than what we do, we'll kick it up to you guys.
Can we add as appropriate at the end of that? Because we've got, it's going to be here, there, or,
Yeah.
and it should go to one of
If they
the
had 10
3,
square
depending on,
feet, it's
and all that
the
means is the
enforcement
level of whatever you're planning on doing would come before one of the 3. So if we get as appropriate to the end of that sentence, do I have a motion?
Yeah.
Motion to approve as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion, comments? All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous. 5.
Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any of the proposed structure, the applicant shall submit to the code enforcement officer an executed contract with a licensed septic hauler for services to pump out the legally disposed waste of the proposed 1,000-gallon on-site holding tank. Applicant shall annually submit a copy of a valid and executed contract for these services.
Make a motion be accepted.
Have a motion to accept, a second. Any discussion? Okay. The requirement to submit annually, that would go to Jim?
Yeah.
One other lady gonna have to remember something.
The alarm will go off.
Yeah, well, that's, okay. Yeah, it's not gonna change that. Okay. Any other discussions?
Mr. Chairman?
Sir?
We could put in also a caveat on there, unless, of course, the applicant puts in a licensed subsurface sewage disposal system to the approval of the code enforcement officer.
This the kind that Mr. Levy was?
Yeah, it's basically to get them off the hook if they put in a
Okay.
functional system.
Okay.
Depends on the sum up in it.
The applicant understand that change and installs, is that the correct term? Installs an acceptable subsurface system?
Sewage disposal system.
Sewage disposal system. Okay. Ann, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept that? Well, we already had a motion to accept up to that change.
That's
We made the original motion.
I'll make the motion to accept that with the changes made.
In discussion, do I have a second on that?
You seconded, didn't you, sir?
Yes. So, second.
Okay. Any other discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, number 6. This is the last one, believe it or not.
We're believing.
It's not.
No certificate of occupancy shall be issued by the Arundel Code Enforcement Officer until the town planner receives to his satisfaction a letter of certification from the project designer affixed with either an engineer's professional seal or that of a registered landscape architect, certifying that all required site improvements have been completed in accordance with the approved plans and all pertinent provisions of the Arundel land use ordinance.
So moved. Motion to accept.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
So approved by the Arundel Planning Board. This is
I'd like to just have under the condition, we have another condition, number 7. In our findings of fact, we went over the landscaping. We said we were going to submit it, so per that discussion and that wording, we went through, it could be added under a finding of fact that becomes part of
A condition.
What do you want it to say, Mr. Chairman?
I was trying to get the wording, we've gone through that previously. Andy, do you have it in your?
Under the findings of fact regarding the landscaping?
Yeah.
For the hedges, is that what you're talking about, along Limerick Road?
Yeah.
That buffering?
Yeah.
It was adequate.
Yeah, that it would be 19 feet on either side of the entryway?
Correct.
Yes.
And that should become a we're just showing it as a finding of fact, but we don't have the plan showing that it's gonna be there, so it should be in the condition that it's part of this plan. In that same ordinance, and if I get somebody that agrees with that, fine. If I don't, that's fine.
The applicant,
And can redo the exact word.
can you?
Well, I could find it, yes, hold on. Hang on a minute, it wasn't on the findings of fact, it was actually during the earlier discussion. The motion was that the buffering and landscaping along Limerick Road between the sod area and Route 111 will contain shrubbery placed 19 feet on each side of the access road facing the Limerick Road.
And that was in the general discussion during the public
Right.
hearing. The other, yes.
And
Could we not be as specific as shrubbery? We put vegetation,
vegetative buffer or vegetative?
because it could be something like peonies, which are technically not shrubs, and you don't want me to go on that note any longer.
You could have Rosa Bagosa.
They'd be shrubs.
So a vegetative buffer, 19 feet on either side?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't find it, it was in our general discussions.
Do you want me to be responsible for ensuring that that plan is approved?
Have it submitted to the town planner for approval.
What are we trying to achieve, just so I know?
All we're trying to do is meet the requirements of the ordinance that on the frontage of the parking lot ordinance, we require that there be a buffering. Landscaping, not a buffering, a landscaping on that frontage of the parking lot. And so we, as a board, in discussion earlier, said that the 19 feet on either side, not the full extension of the road, would be added.
Can I throw something there?
Absolutely.
Compatible to what is the side?
Yeah, they're gonna.
No, what I'm saying is soil conditions or anything else, something like what you have as your buffering in the, whatever side that is compatible with that type.
Yeah.
That's what I was going at.
Yeah.
19 feet,
They
could
do-
trench. They do bear root. Okay, so do I have a motion on that? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to be condition number 7.
Okay, I'll
To
make a
become
motion.
part of the plan. Right now, it's not.
We make that a condition of approval.
Number 7.
Right.
Any other discussions, applicants, understand? All in favor?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Any other for you?
No, I'm good. So approved by the Arundel Planning Board this 13th day of June 2013.
Okay, in total, the board, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, that's unanimous. Approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody. Sorry, some of
Thank
this
you very
is
much.
painful for all of us.
Not very.
So much needed. We are going to take about a 5-minute break. We were out doing site visits, several of us had to take turns. Do you want to turn that off for 5 minutes?
I will turn it off in 5 minutes.
Everybody can stretch.
How you doing?
It's going to be a nice project.